Get in there.
Hey.
Conor 1, Celtic 2. How are you then?
I'm good, mate. Good. Nice to get back to the football, Terry.
Yeah, 100%. Before I get into it, because I tend to start rambling and then forget all the good stuff, give us a like, give us a share, pretend you care. If you want to know when we go live, hit the notification bell. If you want to be a Boys in the Bus member, you can do so from $1.99. No additional content, but it does help put a little bit of diesel in the bus. You said there, Liam, great to be back. It's been, I never ever said this, but I never say this, but I needed a break. I didn't want there to be a game last week. I didn't want to watch Celtic. I just, and I've never been like that in my life. And I just didn't want there to be a game. But I'll tell you what, that break, I was really, really chomping at the bit for today. I really wanted football back. With, it's been a roller coaster of a 2-week period without a game after a roller coaster of the previous 2 weeks, and it just seems to be off one roller coaster and on to another. And there's been so much chat and a lot of great stuff across all the pods about what's happening at the club now, and a lot of great content, but just really, really good to get back to watching the team play again. And I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is watching the game. There's a lot of important stuff going on behind the scenes and a lot of things that are wrong. And today's game probably for me just epitomizes the roller coaster that we're on, because in that game, I just had every single emotion, from boredom, from joy, from anger, everything. It just everything in 190 minutes. And a real crescendo at the end. And there was just something I felt about Kells, as I'm going to call him, as the manager fondly is called. There's just something about it, just the whole thing about him being the guy that we weren't meant to sign, and because we botched up every other deal going, we ended up with him the day after the deadline shot. I just felt there was going to be something special in the air whenever I seen him coming on, and it turned out to be the case. How are you? How have you been the last couple of weeks?
I was the same. I mean, I listened to tons of podcasts this week as well, and like absolutely none of them about the football, but all very informative and and just what's going on. Yeah, this would be an entirely different conversation, I think, if we'd have commuted that with a one each draw. Like the tone here today, I think would be a lot different. I think the crowd would have been a lot more vocal and louder at the end. I mean, I think the board got off very lucky. Did you watch the first 12 minutes, or did you boycott it?
Do you know what, Liam? I was thinking about this. I've been thinking about this all week. What was the right thing to do and everything? And I did actually think about, do I just not watch it, and do I come on after the game and just say I didn't see it? Bit of disclosure as well. I'm absolutely hanging here. I was saying to you backstage there. I was out yesterday. One of my friends moved to a place called Ballycastle. It's about 40 odd mile away from me, and I went there yesterday to see him. But I was on the sauce from 2:00 in the afternoon to nearly 3 this morning, and it's actually quite close to Scotland. I put it in the chat. It's about 25 miles across the water from where I was at yesterday to Scotland. So I could actually hear some of the boos coming across the water yesterday, if you believe that.
You could probably smell them on a good day as well.
Well, you could smell one you could actually. But no, definitely, I thought I could hear boos coming across the water. But I'm hanging by a thread, mate. I was up early this morning, and then I had to go to my lads' match. And no matter what happens, I want to get to my kids' football and stuff. It's just so important to me. But I got to that, and then my wife was driving me about this morning. She was taxing me about because I was in no fit state, and straight into bed. Then I was in bed for about 12 this afternoon, and I set my alarm to get back up before the match. And I'm absolutely hanging by a thread here. But I was thinking of ringing it in sick, but I couldn't do it to Phil. I wouldn't do it to him.
Oh, mate, I nearly got back into my bed as well. You know,
That's where I'm at anyway. So we'll do our best to get through it. Right. Let's look at the lineup. If I can just grab it here. So Phil has saved it for me. I think we're here. So it's Michael in goal. Colby Donovan comes in at right back with injuries to Alistair Johnson and Anthony Ralston. We've then got our first choice centre back pairing of Carter Vickers and Scales. Kieran Tierney, there's been a bit of concern around his fitness, obviously as a whole, since he came back, given that he came back on a part-time contract, but he wasn't starting today. I think some people, it was maybe a mix of two things. It was maybe a mix of he is carrying a knock, he is still building his fitness, and then it's the plastic pitch as well. So I wasn't overly surprised with Sriracha coming in. McGregor, Hattati, Negrin is the first choice midfield, although I think that might change with Ben Negrin's performance today. And then we had the front three of Balikwisha. I'm going to have to check my notes. Tunekte.
Right.
And the main man, Dyson Maida. Front three was probably what I was expecting. Midfield was what I was expecting. Wasn't surprised with Sriracha, and I think Donovan, given the injuries, that was a no-brainer. So no real surprises for me. What did you think around the lineup?
Well, I thought Donovan probably was the only surprise, but then again, it's no surprise because we don't have anybody else. I thought he might have moved the other boy, Scratchy, over to the is that right back position, and then he would have started. But I guess with the plastic pitch, it was just trying to save him his legs. But he still put him on 65, 70 minutes. Tierney came on, didn't he look great? But I thought Donovan, when he came on, I was excited to see him. I want to see young boys being given a chance. I don't think he did too much wrong today, but wasn't exactly a standout either,
I mean, he was involved. He was involved in the key moment at the end. It was him driving forward to the byline and cutting the ball back. And sorry to sort of cut across you there, but see today's game. And I've always said this. See, when I was on with Boise and that, as you said quite rightly as well, the score changes the podcast, and so many times me and Boise were, when you're about to come on, we're just going, I was going to come on and I was in foul form, and then we scored that goal in the last minute, and now I'm buzzing, and then it changes the whole format of the podcast, and it changes your mood, and it really, really does. And as you say, if that doesn't happen in the last minute, and let's be honest, it was more likely in the end that Killie were going to score than we were. But you come on here and you're absolutely buzzing because of what's happened. But you still have to then understand that a lot of what happened before that it wasn't good enough. But the euphoria just completely takes over, and like I'm buzzing because of how that game finished, and I can probably wipe out quite a lot of what happened before that.
Well, when they scored that goal, they came onto us right away. That goal really inspired them to attack us. And that big boy, the big tall guy that was playing, he was winning a lot of balls in their midfield and knocking them on. That seemed to be the target, is use him as a target man, and everybody was running onto them. And our midfield just couldn't cope with that. I mean, our midfield today, that's something I don't give pass marks to. I thought our midfield was terrible.
Something just doesn't feel right, doesn't it?
We talk all the time about momentum and all that, and like Callum, he's, you see him trying to get the team going into this groove, this flow that we get, and we're nowhere near that this year. I haven't seen it really, like as taking just getting a good grip of a game, and running with it. Maybe Aberdeen, but it's. I think he's got to change his shape in the midfield. It just doesn't seem to be working, no matter who he puts in there. And the fact that Engels didn't even come off the bench today.
Yeah,
Wild.
good point.
I thought Kelly looked like scoring, and I thought we were really fortunate to just get through that bit. They had a few good shots on target and a couple missed the post, and then there was that one ball that came in that Schmeichel had to dive across low to get it, because if there was any rebound on that could have been in the goal as well, you know.
Yeah, the Engels one. Yeah, we made all 5 subs, and we were going to try and win a game, and we don't bring him off the bench. Okay, so in terms of lineup there as well. So Donovan's our third choice right back. Sirachi's our second choice left back, and we didn't get a striker. Well, we did get a striker at the end of the window or just after the window. It wasn't the one that we were really wanting. And there's been so much upheaval and controversy and media attention over the last couple of weeks. And we've had players traveling all over the globe. I always used to say to Boise, no matter how bad the performance is on the first game back after international break, the only thing that matters is that you get those 3 points. Because the team that you're playing against, with all respect to Killy, they'll have had 90% of their squad all there for the last 2 weeks, preparing with one thing in mind, which is the 90 minutes against Celtic. Celtic will have had 20-30% of their players there preparing for this game, and all the rest flying all over the world, sitting on benches, some of them playing, and all that international jazz. And they're probably starting to drip feed back across to Scotland Wednesday into Thursday. They're tired. They've been on the plane for long periods, and you're maybe not getting a lot. So you're not getting a lot in before today's game. So a lot of it's just going to be on adrenaline. It's very difficult for the manager to plan for a game when the majority of your team aren't there. And I always just think it's just a case of getting from A to B, and A is you've got the players, you're ready to start the game, and B is you win the 3 points. And by hook or by crook, we've got the 3 points. And on these occasions when it's first game back after an international break, I'm usually prepared to just forgive the 90 minutes as long as we get the right score. And I think when you look across all of the leagues and all of the teams over a prolonged period of time, all the big teams, they're usually sketchy first game back after international break. Even just look at the EPL today, Liverpool away to Burnley. Everybody thinks that's a steamroller job, but you're bringing players that you haven't seen for a fortnight, and you're firing them together against a team who've been prepping to play you for 2 weeks.
I mean, you wouldn't think Balakwisha had been training with the team all week, would you? He looked like a new recruit. I don't know. I'm
just going to correct you, Liam, because I need to apologise, because I've been telling everybody how to pronounce his name, and I was pronouncing it the same as you, but it's actually we're both wrong. We're both wrong. It's Mikael Ange Lodabalics. That's how you pronounce it.
Aye, he looked every bit of the signing I thought we were going to get. Like, that was one of the ones I was most unimpressed by as a signing. Like, when you watch usually you see a highlight reel or something and they've put together all the best moments and that, and I didn't see anything from him this time in his highlight reel. And then when he came on the park now, obviously I didn't get to see the Rangers game, and there was absolutely no highlights. So yeah, just watching him today, I wanted to try and say, okay, let's have a look at him and just see what he's actually like. And I thought it was very frustrating. I thought, my God, that could be, we should have just kept Tellio at that point. You know, he didn't look like he offered much. And again, it might be just growing into the team, but I've not seen anything that says this guy's going to be an exceptional player for us yet. You know,
I'm being totally knee-jerk, Liam, and you are as well. It's a totally knee-jerk reaction. Oh. These are, you know, and I'm having a bit of a laugh there around his name and all of that, and it's probably wrong, but anyway, I'll just try to amuse myself with a hangover. But I did the same with Kuhn. I made a knee-jerk reaction on Kuhn, and you're allowed to do this as fans. You're allowed to, you know, you're excited about players coming in, and you know, given the transfer window we've had, and we've tracked this guy for the best part of 2 years, and we've brought him in, and you're excited, and you think, you know, this is someone the club clearly believe in, and all he has done so far is get the ball and cut inside and recycle possession. He hasn't stood his fullback up once in 2 games. And I totally get that the modern game, and I feel like an old man now, but back in the olden days, wingers used to face up their fullback and take them on. And the thing about a winger was they were the players that the supporters fell in love with, and that they came to Celtic Park and stood in the jungle. And you talked about the wingers, like when you were going to the matches, it was the wingers you were talking about, and the greatest of them all, Jinky. And there's been so many brilliant ones over the years, but they're the guys that get you off their seat. They're the guys that excite you, and they get a bit of license to go and make things happen. And I think football has, through time, it's turned into a state at the moment where, for me, it's almost a game of chess. It's all tactical and technical, and it's moving pieces about on a chessboard. And I think what we've seen from this laddie so far is that he's kind of just doing what wingers nowadays do. Like you watch any game across, again, all the leagues, and it's just all about trying to keep possession and probe and wait for the right moment. And there's not very many players at the minute, even across the world, that go and take on their man and dribble and try to make things happen, be a wee bit inventive. It's like creativity's gone from the modern game. I'm not picking on Balikwisha. And I totally think there will be a better player in there. He will evolve. And I've always said they're young fellas, they're moving to a new country, it's a lot of upheaval, and they need time to settle. And he could do a Nicholas Kuhn. He genuinely could. Nicholas Kuhn looked, and he looked like he was just the wrong person in the wrong movie. And I think that's how Balikwisha looks at the minute. He looks like somebody's dad who's just brought their kid along to play in the match because they didn't have enough players. He just looks a wee bit out of his depth. But I totally expect he will improve. He will settle. There has to be a better player in there. There's no way that we've seen the best of him. He has to have more than this, and I think he will. And I feel guilty for kind of picking on him, but he has been ordinary, but he will get better, I'm sure, won't he?
Well, especially when they talk about like chasing this guy for 2 years. Okay, so I don't see why you would be chasing this guy for 2 years. If you didn't get him right away, I would have moved on. He doesn't seem to have that. I don't know what it is that you see in him. Look at in contrast to, and again, we'll mangle this name as well, Terry, to Netke. I thought what you were saying about standing, there we go. Us Phil on with the graphics today, innit?
No, that was me.
Hey, well done.
No, what you've done here actually is, and you didn't even know this because you don't know what my agenda is as such. Right. But I picked since Phil gave me the keys, I've tried to put my own spin on this bus. And what I've kind of done is we'll pick 3 players just to have a chat about. It's not necessarily the 3 players that played the best, but 3 players I want to talk about on today's game. And you've kind of just segued into 2 of them already. So you've done it very, very seamlessly, which I'm not surprised about, given your involvement with the filmmaking stuff and all of that. But you've led into Balikwisha. I've then talked about the old school winger. Can't believe I'm saying that. An old school winger who just wants to take his man on and drive at his man every single time. And this laddie seems to fit that bill. Talk about him.
Well, the first thing I looked at him, I was thinking, he was giving me Haksavanovic vibes, the old Hacksaw. I thought he was reminding me of him the first couple of minutes. And then what you were talking about, like getting the ball, standing up and taking it and just going at the man. And he was doing that from the very beginning of the game. And I thought, okay, that was good. And I think he was involved in the 3 of the handball incidents he was involved in, getting and cutting the ball back. I thought he had a very, very good game, and he was doing exactly what we want a winger to do. In fact, that's best I've seen in wing this year since Jota. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops. That being his first game, I thought he gave a very, very good showing today, and I'm excited, and I feel good now knowing that we might have another winger there that can develop now. And I was surprised when he brought Yang on with like 3 minutes to go, but I don't know if he was tiring or he just wanted to get Yang on. But I thought the new boy looked really, really good. I look forward to seeing what he's like, when he's not up against a wee dafty like James Brown or somebody like that, when he's up against some proper defenders and see what he's like. But yeah, he looked good. I like the way he cuts in. Also, he's got he does that wee pass I like to see wingers doing it when you get into the box. And that's not doing a big lift with the leg, but just doing a wee sort of like a stabbing pass where it just comes across 6 meters or so. And I thought he was very good at that as well. He was getting the ball into the centre. There was a couple of guys that let fly that he had set up as well. So I'm looking forward to see him in the rest of his football, see what happens with him.
And again, there's loads of people in the comments saying it's too quick to judge. That's Croatia. I totally get that. I've said that. I've said I'm not making a judgment on this. Is just knee jerk. This is just based on what we've seen. There's absolute mitigation. His first game was at Ibrox. He's just through the door. That atmosphere, that environment, and then his second game's on a carpet. Do you know what I mean? So and through time, Liam, again, wingers, we're making a snap judgment on I'm gonna have to check this again. Tunekte. I have to start getting these right. Tunekte. We've made a snap judgment on him based on a positive 90 minutes. He could come out next week and the week after, and he might never get past his man once, and every cross will hit the first defender. Do you know what I mean? Wingers are in and out. They're confidence players. They're you don't get consistency with them. Croatia could, in the long run, end up being absolutely the best. We're just having a wee sort of snap and a bit of fun based on what we've seen. But I enjoyed that lad's performance today. He got man of the match, and I think he was more than value for that. Let's look at some of the key moments, and then we'll touch on the third player focus after that. So you've talked about 3 penalties there. So we've obviously got the one at the end. I don't want to jump straight to that, but talk me through the other 2, because in my haze, I'm kind of struggling to just recollect what they were.
So the first one, I think the first 2 are very, very similar. You got Tunekte coming down the wing, going to the byline and cutting the ball back in, which is brilliant. You want to see your wingers doing it because just like anything can happen, they've got to panic, they've got to clear it, they've got to defend it. And if that ball's coming across and it's coming up waist high, then there's a good chance you could get arms and hands and all that involved and get yourself a penalty like we did. It's hard these days. Like when you see the VAR replay, well, it shouldn't be hard because it's either cut and dry or it isn't. But
if it's given against you, are you cross if it's given against you?
I'd been raging if any 3 of those had been given against me. But
any penalty at all, it doesn't matter if it's a stone wall or you're.
But you do see them given against us, and you see them as well too, like benefiting other teams that we know who. It's like this whole hand to ball. But I thought the second one was interesting because I thought it came off. It came off his foot and then hit his hand. It came off of somebody else's foot and then hit his hand, and his hand was in an unnatural position. And I was surprised that he gave the last one and he didn't give any of those 2. Like, I was really shocked at Beaton, pointed to the spot there because that's not like him. He'd let everything else go. I thought he was other than that, but he was back to his worst again as well. I mean, Tunekte got a yellow card for absolutely hee-haw. He made a sliding tackle where he got the ball on a wet plastic pitch, and it wasn't even a foul, never mind a yellow card. And Beaton couldn't wait to get that card out. Welcome to Scotland, son.
Yeah, Beaton looked at it. He looked at it for so long because he wasn't actually sure if it was a foul or not. And then when he's decided, he's then gone and booked him. How can he book him if he isn't actually sure if it's even a foul? And I'm wondering, has he had a word in his ear just quickly or something like that? Let's not bounce forward to that key moment in the whole game. So we'll wind it back. We know that the guys that were taking part in the protest, they came in on the 12th minute. And let's just deal with this bit and get it out of the way. So A lot of chat about the protest and what was going to happen, and I think given all the people that took part in the survey and the 99 point whatever that was going to do this, that, and all the actions, and it's up to every single Celtic supporter to decide whether they support that, what they want to do. Each supporter chooses to support Celtic whatever way they want, and that's my line on it. Do you know what I mean? I'm a dickhead sitting here in Northern Ireland who goes to a couple of games a season. I used to go to more, but I made a decision when I started having kids and they started playing football, I wanted to go and watch them. I've got plenty of time to go and watch Celtic 7, 8, 9 times a season when my boys are grew up. I go to watch them, and I still try to. I've been to Celtic Park once a season, every season since 1986 at least. And sometimes it's more than that, and sometimes it's just 1 or 2 times. That's my decision. That's my choice in life, to balance my finances, my family, and my passion for Celtic. If people never go to a Celtic game but they still love Celtic, fine. If people go every week and they devote their whole life to it, fine. If people want to go in at the start of the game, fine. If people want to go in the 12th minute, fine. All of it's fine by me. I do support the protests. I do support them. My own thoughts are, if I was there today, I would support them. I'm going over in 2 weeks against Hibs. If there's a protest that I want to be part of, I'll take part in it. If I don't like the sound of it, I won't take part in it. Everyone has their own choice. But I think when we got the figures from the meeting during the week, and it was the 99 point whatever's for the different kind of actions, I think everything was above 90%. It kind of felt to me that what you would see today would be quite a bare Celtic end, and then the guys would come in the 12 and the atmosphere would just crank up. It didn't really play out like that for me. I mean, Sky, I don't know if Sky regard it in how they presented it, but it felt to me like there was maybe as much as 40% of supporters were in before the kickoff, and then you had 60 that started to stream in from the 12. But I was kind of expecting to feel a real crescendo of noise on the 12. And I think how it's probably played out is the guys have been in the concourse and you could hear them. I think you could hear the guys from the concourse. Yeah. I think they've started to stream in, but it's probably taken another 10 minutes to get everybody in. And then the noise really cranked up. I made a note around about 21, 22 minutes and noise really cranked up. Did that play out how you were expecting?
I was expecting to see it empty. I was surprised at the 40%. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a home game, but when you look at our travelling support, they seem much more diehard and wired into the club. You know, there's plenty of people that go and support season tickets that never look at the internet. They don't follow podcasts. They don't that. And so I think we're tuned, and I think we're more. We've just highlighted it. This is because we talk about this thing all week, and that for us, yeah, it seemed like a very important moment. But I think for other people, they just don't give a shit. I think it just doesn't faze them. They go to see Celtic and they just watch what's on the park, and then they go home and they listen to Taylor Swift or something, or watch something else, because whereas us, we go and we want to keep talking about Celtic, and we want to figure out what's going on with this club and highlight some of the just the shit that's went on. But I tell you what, they did show the board. They showed them sitting in their seats. I saw Nicholson. I saw that wee scumbag Brian Wilson. So, there's a couple of them that just look like detestable, just, I don't know, like unlikable people. Just the whole way they sit and all that, the suits and all that just rubs me the wrong way. But they didn't look uncomfortable, put it that way.
Well, here, if the camera panned to Michael Nicholson and he was sitting there with shorts and t-shirt on, he would look a wee bit odd, would he not?
Aye, well, fuck, I'd love to see that, Big Ange would do that. But they didn't look uncomfortable. And somebody was on the WhatsApp was saying that Nicholson gave a sarcastic wave to the crowd when they were shouting "sack the board" at the end of the game. I don't know if that's true. Don't know if that's there, but I'd like to believe that just to keep it going, because I really hope they don't think that they're going to ride this out. that they're just going to wait, that they've had, that this has all came at a very, very good time for them, that they're not going to be back in, and hopefully all this is going to blow over. Honestly, I think if we'd have drawn that day, they wouldn't have got out the stadium. You know, and I think, you know, when it comes to protesting and that sort of things, I'd like to see us make them more uncomfortable. You know, like, you know, I don't know if it's blocking their exit or entrance into the stadium, but you know, there is other things as well that, you know.
Calm down.
I know.
Do you remember that was last year's protest?
Oh, fuck, I know.
That wee guy on his own.
But I mean, definitely have to do something, because I just can't stand the smugness in them all, thinking that they've got away with this, that somehow they've done well. You know,
I think what you said there is really key, Liam. Today was the first step. Today was the first step in terms of an attempt to bring about change that brings about a better Celtic. If I put myself in Michael Nicholson's shoes, I think he probably was thinking today would have been worse for him. I think he's probably not too, you know, when he's sitting there, and again, I'm only going with what I've seen on the screen, but it looked as if it was 40% maybe in there at kickoff. He's probably expecting that end to be empty. He's probably, and it's strange because you don't know what Sky have shown you as someone watching on the TV. Ian Crocker did make reference to there seemed to be like a rolling banner. Different banners were coming up. There was one, then there was another one, then there was another one. Then, but Sky didn't.
No,
I don't know. Maybe I missed it because I've had a stressful afternoon in terms of trying to bring myself back to life again. But maybe I missed them. But Sky didn't seem, and rightly so, they didn't seem to focus what was going on in the crowd, and that's the right thing to do, because they're showing a game of football. So that's fair enough. But I would like to have seen what those various banners were and things like that. But I think today's the first step, and no matter what has happened today, this story is going to play out. This isn't going to finish tomorrow or next week or in a couple of months. This is going to be an ongoing thing across the whole of this season, and we'll just see how it plays out. I don't want to focus on it today. I want to get back to the football. Fair play to Nicholson for being there. That again. Don't know who exactly wasn't there, but the cameras didn't show one interview, one individual, which was Peter Lowell, who is the only individual of any sort of prominence that wasn't mentioned by the manager in his pre-match presser as being people that have been supportive. You can join all the dots on that quite easily as to who is potentially the person who is working against him in the background. Well, Terry, all of that's going to play out. It's going to play out.
I hope they don't take from this that the fans are divided in any way, because you just have to look back at this past week. We are not divided, as you said. We're over 95% on every single answer that we had. So this is a support that is there. You know, despite the protest of that's just a small action, and not everybody's going to do that. But if you ask those supporters, they also want accountability, and they want this board to stand up. And we're still waiting on that one piece of communication that comes out and tells us what is the plan with this board, what's going on, what's the plans with Rodgers. There's just so many questions, and they're hiding. They're hiding and hope this just goes away. And no, I hope these protests, we find different creative ways to show them the displeasure, make them uncomfortable without disrupting the team of the game. You know?
Yes. Here's the thing, Liam. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I'm right, and 40% went in at kickoff and 60% came in on 12 or filtered in from 12. That doesn't mean those 40% don't want change. That just means those 40% decided they wanted to go in and watch the game from the start, and that is 1,000,000% fine. I totally support that. Each individual supports Celtic whatever way they want, but I think what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, as you say, is an entire Celtic support coming together. 100% of Celtic supporters want to see the best possible Glasgow Celtic, and that's without question. And 99% want to see change to make that happen. I think that's how we kind of bring that all together. And I mean, at the end of the day, and I think I've given him too much publicity already, poor Russell. But if you want to know how big of an influence this Celtic board are with how they run the club, I heard Russell giving a bit of praise to his old nemesis, the wee fella, during the week. Yeah, can you imagine that? Only Celtic board could have made that happen. So if Russell's happy with if Russell's praising the wee lad, then there's a lot going on.
Did to me. I fell off that bus. Anyway, I don't know. I think you just got to move on, make this board as uncomfortable as possible, and just get back to the football. I'm absolutely sick of talking to them because it's frustrating. It's frustrating because there just seem to be any. It doesn't matter how loud you are, how vociferous we are as a fan base. They're so good at just shutting it out and shutting us out that it's just frustrating not being heard. So anyway, hope we keep figuring out different ways that are creative and all that we can make ourselves heard, but heard vocally enough that we can actually force some sort of change. I hate the fact that they think they're riding this out. So anyway, back to the football team.
Okay, Dyson Maida. It only took a few minutes. I was keen to see how he reacted today. So my thoughts are, if Dyson Maida tells you in February he wants to go, then Dyson Maida should be sold at the first available opportunity with a replacement in before he goes. That hasn't happened. There was no replacement. There was no forward planning. There was no thought around we could have an unhappy player here. Let's draw the line under that. The thing about this is there's really only 3 months until the window opens again. We're nearly out of September. We're halfway through September. So you've got October, November, December, and the window's open again. And that move can happen. If he still wants to go on the 1st of January, then away he goes and we bring in somebody else. As long as you bring in somebody else and as long as we identify a player that the manager wants and that player's good, then let's do it. No problem at all. But I wanted to see where his head was. And obviously we don't know exactly where it is, but what I was looking for was the pressing, the intensity, the desire, the will to win, and all of that. And I think there was a moment in the first 10 minutes where he chased down the goalkeeper and almost caused something. And that was enough for me. I felt at that point, do you know what? He wants to leave Celtic. I'm annoyed about that, but this wee laddie is going to give us all for us in the next 3.5 months, and then whatever happens, happens. And then later on, he scores that goal. It's a perfect delivery from Sriracha, and Dyson's in there. And it was the kind of finish that we became accustomed to last season, where he has no real time to think about it. It's instinct. He's put his head in there when the defender's leading with his foot. It's brave, and it's a wonderful finish, and it's an even better reaction. And in a world where players kiss the badge and show fake love for clubs and all, I genuinely think that was him telling the Celtic supporters, I wanted to leave, but I'm letting you know I'm 100% committed while I'm wearing this jersey. That's what I took from that. What's your thoughts?
Oh, exactly the same. I was going to mention that. I made a note of that at the game, that when you saw his goal celebration and, pumping the chest and all that and stuff like that, the support, it looked sincere. It didn't look like he was a guy that was wanting away or a guy that was like looking to just like down tools and that. He didn't do a lot in the game. I thought he chased down a couple of good balls and all that, but I thought it was one of his quieter games until that goal. But the goal he scored was absolutely world class. And again, and that ball face Sriracha, you're right. Those are the goals that Maeda scores. You're putting balls into the box, and I thought we were good today at getting the ball into the box and creating some of those chances. It didn't all play out, but we got a penalty off one, and you could see it made them uncomfortable. And if Reegan had better finish, and that we could have won that game very easily today. You know, we did get chances, which was a good thing. Which is, you know, something we've been fighting about getting that ball in there. So there seemed to be a more direct flow of not passing it back as much, but getting that ball into the box. And great to see one of our defenders contributing to get an assist on that goal as well.
Up to 115, Liam, on the live. So all the big pods are finished. All the good ones are finished, and then the guys are coming across. So thank you very much to everyone who's been on from the start and everyone who's joined, and also to anyone who watches back on the record. So we've gone 1-0 up. My thoughts then at that point are, Liam, we will kick on. It felt a wee bit to me like the Livy game a few weeks back. First half, not a lot going on, not a lot to get excited about. You get in front and you go on to win comfortably. Anything but.
I mean, we struggled after that goal. I thought we were going to come on and we were going to start pressing them, but Kelly started coming into the game, and I thought, you know, when they got to their goal, they were on the ascendancy. I thought after that they looked like the team that was more likely to score before extra time. And, you know, their goal that we, well, first, how did that goal happen? Did McCowan gave away a free kick? Or was McCowan that kicked it out?
The Kilmarnock goal?
Aye.
Well, there was a bit of a scrimmage in the minutes leading up to it. If you remember, Kasper Schmeichel was out and he was flapping about in the box, and there was all sorts going on, and Kelly ended up getting a corner, and then that led to another corner, and then it's a cracking delivery, and you've got the young lad Watson, and he's not a big lad, Liam. He's not massive, but he's just sprung. He's rose into the air, and it's a bullet header. Now it's straight at Schmeichel, but it's just straight through his hands, and that's the first goal he's conceded this season. As much as he's come under a bit of criticism, and I get why, you know, people have been talking about maybe his time's up and stuff like that. That's the first goal he's conceded for Celtic this season, and also for Denmark as well. So from when the season started, that's the first one. And young Watson, if you wind back maybe 2 years ago, the two sort of big shining lights that people had a lot of hope for in Scottish football were Watson and Lennon Miller. And Watson might even have been slightly ahead of Miller at that stage, but Lennon Miller's performances kind of edged him ahead. And this wee fella Watson was in and out of the Kelly side, and he maybe just hasn't reached that potential yet. But there's a player in there. He'll go on to something bigger than Kelly. Now, will he develop and get a move similar to Lennon Miller? I don't know, but probably 18 months ago, people were talking about both of those young players as the two next big things coming out of Scottish football. And it wouldn't surprise me if that lad does go on to play at a much higher level than Kilmarnock, again, with all due respect. But that was a cracking goal from his perspective. But from a Celtic perspective, how's he been able to do that?
Well, see, when you come and you get a bullet header like that, I think Tonetke, I think he was marking him. But again, you're looking at scales, and I think Tierney was on at that time as well, to sort of get up there and not give away free headers, especially when you've got a guy charging in like that. They all seemed very flat-footed. And then after it as well, it didn't inspire us to take the game on. In fact, they came on to us after that, and that was the only time I saw Donovan got stretched a wee bit. And then that big boy was, what's that? Get your what?
Get your guitar out and sing Beautiful Sunday.
Okay, right. All right, Kennedy. I thought the big boy was giving us a bit of problems in there as well. They started feeding him, and everything was dropping off him. And yeah, we were all over the place after that goal. Yeah, I didn't think we were going to win that game. You get those feelings where you're going to get, we'll turn this around. No, we didn't seem to be playing that. And then when he brought Yang on, with 3 minutes to go, I thought, what are you doing? You're killing time when we need to be going for a goal here. Because I didn't think there was going to be much time added on. And I guess there only was 3 minutes, and we scored in the 96th minute. That'll have them raging.
Yeah, see, you've gone one each, and you're thinking, okay, Celtic, big finish here, let's go. And then you bring on a player who had both feet, both arms, everything out the door, and now he's back in, and now you're bringing him on in a game that you need to win with a few minutes to go, and you're relying on him. You're relying on it. Just again, that's the feelings of the window. That's where we're at. We're probably still at a stage where James Forrest is our best right winger, which is a total joke. But anyway, we've brought Yang on for the man of the match, and at that point, I always fancy Celtic to score a late winner. Okay, we've done it so many times in my existence. I always fancy us to score a late winner. But I thought Kelly looked the more likely in that from when they scored. I thought they looked more likely than we did.
As I said, this would be a completely different podcast if they'd have scored. I mean, I would have been really pissed off.
100%. We'd be sitting here having a totally different conversation. 100%.
Second in the league. I mean, Hearts are playing really, really well right now as well, and I think they will be a bigger threat than Rangers. And just because they're playing shite, I don't want us to give up anything. We need to keep building on what we're doing and keep this perfect run going. And as you said before, that's our first goal that's been given against us. First goal against us this season in the league. You got to look at that, and maybe that's one. A lot of people asking for Greg Taylor to come back. Do you still think we'd be sitting with only one
of them
if Greg Taylor was there? So, maybe Tierney solids up that way. He makes us a bit more solid at the back. But it was squeaky bum time right up till the last minutes, and I'd no idea how much extra time we had. And I was looking at 92 minutes, and I'm thinking we're not scoring here. Just didn't look like it.
The key moment of the whole game, 3 minutes was the absolute minimum. When you look at all the subs and the stoppages and stuff, 3 was the absolute minimum. It probably should have been more than that, but it's 3 minutes. I didn't see us getting it. The key moment of the whole game that determines your mood, my mood, the mood of hundreds of thousands across the world, happens, and Colby Donovan is down the right hand side, cuts the ball back. There's then an attempt on goal, and it looks in live time, you think, oh, that might have been a hand. The Celtic players did react, but players do react.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, when I seen it happen, I wasn't expecting too much, but there was a bit of a delay, and I'm thinking, you know what? The longer this goes on, and the commentator kind of leads you because they're getting a bit of a feed. They're getting a feed, so they kind of know where this is going. And the longer it went on, and just the language being used by the commentator, I'm thinking, whoa, hold on, might be something here. And then I'm thinking, I'm scurrying about on my phone. Who's on VAR? I'm trying to check who's on VAR to see what way I think this is going to go. And when John Beaton gets called across, I'm 90% certain it's going to be a penalty. Let's pause that part. Do you think that's a penalty?
No, I'd be raging if it was against us. It's like ping pong in the box like that. Was his arm up like that? I mean, I don't know. I didn't really get a great look at it at the game and that, but I was just jumping up and down because we had a penalty at the end, But I hate to see them given against us, and I thought the other two looked more like a penalty than the last one. But anyway, I was surprised that he gave us. And then, what did you think, Terry, about it was weird. Callum McGregor went and stood on the spot with the ball, and I think it was Negan. Somebody else was trying to take that penalty, and then I thought McGregor was going to take it, and then he handed the ball to, it's called Nacho Man, big Randy Savage, and he just put it away. But I was surprised that they gave the penalty to him, and that was obviously a captain's move, and that was probably Callum's best contribution of the game, was giving the ball to Nacho.
Okay, loads for me to chew on there, and I'll give you my views. I do have quite a few views on this. My view is that's a very, very harsh penalty. Now, I think in the post-match interviews with Stuart Kettlewell, he's challenged the decision, and then I think somebody within the interviewer has actually corrected him with the narrative from the rules that say that it is a penalty. I think it's harsh. I think that's harsh. I don't think that guy has deliberately handed that. His hands weren't in the greatest position, but the ball's fizzing about the box and it's took a deflection off someone else. I think it's harsh. When I seen it in real time, I wasn't too hopeful. Probably because of the position that you're in and you know who you're dealing with in terms of the decision. When I've seen it slowed down and when there's been a bit of deliberation, I thought, do you know what? I might have to give this here because of how the rule is. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a penalty. I don't think it's fair that a game can be decided on a moment like that. However, given where we are with football and given what the rules are, technically, I think it is a penalty. I don't like it, but at the end of the day, I didn't make the decision. I didn't make the decision, and there's been plenty that have gone against us over the years. So all day long, I'm taking it. So it's given. To me, it's not a penalty, but it's given. And am I rolling about the floor, delighted? Yes, 1,000,000%. Then the stress starts to happen because I'm going, who the fuck's going to take this? Have we anybody that can actually score from the spot? And I've always said on the pods that I've been on, I think when you get a penalty, this is a key pivotal moment in this season. As much as we're only at the start, these are key defining moments. The Ralston goal against Ross County, there's so many. The Scotty Sinclair moment against Hearts in the very first game of that season. There's pivotal moments that you think of where titles were turned on one small moment. And my thoughts on big decisions, big penalties, key penalties, I've always championed that the captain should step up and he should take responsibility. He shouldn't. Last season, when he took them, I'm going, no, McGregor, you need to step up. You're the captain. You need to take responsibility. Any of the key kicks, he should be doing that. And I thought, finally, I've got my wish today. He's in there. He's doing this. He's taking this. I back him to get it. Get real balls. This is real captain material. Well done. Because we've just come out of a penalty shootout where we couldn't score them. And over the whole piece, despite a wee bit of improvement with them, generally we struggle to score from the spot. Do you know what I mean? We're well beyond, we're well under the sort of average success rate from a penalty. Even take our greatest modern day player, Henrik Larsson. I think he was 60%, which is way off. You know, the norm. 4 and 5 penalties go in the net, but when you're Celtic, it's more of a toss of a coin. And I thought today McGregor was actually going to step up and take it. Now, I like your take on it, where he was in there and he seemed to make the decision for me, and we got the outcome, perfect outcome, no problem at all. For me, he has to take it. I still don't care. He has to take it, and he didn't. However, he's given it to a guy, and again, the outcome's brilliant, and it's perfect. And do you know what? Kells might be the best penalty taker in the world, and that makes it the right call. But I just thought, this is a guy who hasn't played an awful lot in a few years. He's only been at the club a few days. He's the signing that we didn't want because we wanted all these other players, and you're handing him the ball. We bet around that. How do you feel about that? I think McGregor should have took it.
No, you know, I felt uncomfortable with any of our current taking a penalty just because we've been so bad at them.
You brought Michael Nicholson on to take it. He could have took it.
I was just glad to see somebody else coming up. And was it a great penalty? I thought it looked okay. It hit it hard, but it hit it straight down the middle.
When you see it back, it's a wee bit down the middle, isn't it?
Yeah. So you know there's a thing called action bias, right? There was these guys that did a study and they figured out that most goalkeepers, if you stand in the middle of the net, you will save a lot more penalties just by the statistics of how they go. And they're saying it what is it's action bias, that goalies think in their head they have to be shown to do something, so chances are they will dive right or left. If you go down the middle, most of the times, a lot of the times the goalie's already dived, and they call it action bias, that you feel that you have to be doing something to earn your keep or show the fans that you're interested in that. And so they usually want to make a big dive. Craig Gordon was terrible for that. He just dived the other way, but it looked like he was doing something. But yeah, he's great. He touched the wrong post, but well done. I thought I like to see a player hit a penalty with force. The wee stutter runs, that freaks me out. So I was glad to see there was minimal part of that to his approach. But yeah, he took a good run out and he hit it with force and he hit it high. And I think anytime you can hit that ball high with force and all that, you give the keeper a harder chance of saving it. All the ones that get saved is when we try and do these wee low ones, hoping he's going to go the wrong way and body height and stuff. No, I like to see us roofing it. And that's what teams have done against us with success lately. So, yeah, good to see him. And then, Terry, what I did I liked the way he ran it in the crowd. I liked the fact that he went in there and he showed them as well that he wants to be here, went up, sees what it looked like up close, lads, and dived right into the crowd. And the crowd focused on it. There was another guy in the crowd, a big black guy that he ran up to as well. I don't know if that was his brother or his mate or something, but he looked well chuffed for him and all. So, yeah, good to see him interacting with the fans. And same with the end as well, getting up there and, doing the Kyogo or whatever it is,
Who's in the bus there? Whoever that is. Who's in the bus? Callum, yeah, do you know what? See if Callum did actually come up with the ticket, the pressure on him. Yeah, do you know what? I just think it's a responsibility thing. I just think you're passing the buck onto someone else. And there was another comment there. I can't remember who put it up. Oh, there's there. Would Adamida have taken it? Yeah, do you know what? He would, because he did it. He put himself up. He put himself up for big penalties and scored some of them and didn't score some of them. But he's not here any longer. I want to get to that finish, Liam. I've started one other comment here because I've done this before. I just want to focus on this. Not for too long. What you've got in that moment at the end is probably unique to Scottish football, or certainly wouldn't happen in the EPL or some of the bigger leagues. So you've got a referee who is clearly a Rangers fan. That's not under any, that can't be challenged. That's clear, and that is true. He's not had a great weekend either. He's refereeing a game. He's got an opportunity whether to decide whether Celtic get 3 points or 1 point. I don't think that's a fair situation for John Beaton to be put in. And as much as I've criticised him, as much as I've criticised any referee, and it doesn't matter what the allegiance is, I still don't think that's a right situation. I can't imagine trying to put myself in that position where I'm a Celtic fan, I'm refereeing a Rangers game, and I can decide whether they get 3 points or 1. What's your thoughts around that, or do you not give a shit? Am I just going down a rabbit hole that I don't need to go down? I'm trying to just have a think about that. He's called over. John Beaton's got this. He's got the earpiece on. He's going, do not call me over here. Please do not. Under no circumstances, fucking call me over here. And the minute he gets that sign that he has to go over, he's going, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm gonna have to give this. And again, just we're having a bit of a laugh about it, but can you put yourself in that position? I can't.
I'd have ghosted him. Sorry, wrong number.
I just think that. Do a Michael Nicholson. No.
Go on.
Ring back later. Ring back after.
I must have sickened him. I mean, I got no compassion for John Beaton at all. I mean, just his face bothers me. But I was kind of glad that he had to give that. But you're right, Scottish football's in that weird situation because honestly, I'm still surprised. I thought there's no idea he's going to find a way not to give us that penalty. And I was actually shocked when he pointed to the spot. And But no, that feels sorry for John Beaton having a hard job.
I don't feel sorry for him. I'm just saying I'm trying to imagine me in that position. Not that I'd ever tried to get a career in refereeing. It probably no amount of money would make me do it. But I'm trying to imagine walking over there with your Celtic allegiance, about to decide whether Rangers get 3 points or 1, and you know that the pressure is on you. You've already had it in your ear. You probably, on all given evidence, 95% of these decisions stand. And you're having to do that. I wouldn't put myself in that position for any money in the world. And as a Celtic fan, you're probably, you're sitting there going, "It's beaten. He might just go with it here." I fully expect it. Once he goes over, I fully expect it. This will be killing him inside, but he has to give this. I just don't think there's too many leagues across the world where referees will be put in that position.
No cameras there, Terry. We're not getting that. Right? No. That's one of the ones that we would be lighting up the super scoreboard and all that way. That should have been a penalty at the end, but without VAR, we don't get that. We don't get that at all. That would be one of those ones that's actually conveniently overlook, and then it's like, all right, saved you 2 points a day, boys. But it had to give it, and that's one of the good things about VAR when it does come out. It does take some of those decisions away from any sort of bias, sometimes. And makes them having to make those difficult calls. And for him, it was a difficult call, emotional for him. Yeah.
Okay, so move on to our third key player of the day, and it is Kells. So he's the man that steps up. He's the guy that we didn't want to sign, but we've ended up signing him. He is one of our main strikers for the rest of the season. He scored a penalty, and he's now endeared himself with the support. And no matter what else he does in the rest of his Celtic career, he's probably done enough to have his place in the folklore within the club with that one stroke of his boot. What's your expectation levels of the guy? What a moment for him, by the way, Liam.
Aye.
Because, put yourself into his position. You've come in, you're an afterthought. As much as people can go, these guys are multi-millionaires, they have so much money that, you're a player, you've had a very, very promising and successful career to a point. Then you've fallen off a cliff. You've done nothing for 2 years. You've been moving about. You've been on loan. You've had unsuccessful spells. Your fitness has been called into question. And you get the opportunity with a minute to go on deadline day, which then turns into your parent club basically cutting ties with you to ensure that Celtic had another day where they could sign you and then have the race against time to get you registered for the Europa League. That's difficult. He's still a young kid. He's still, I know, in football terms, he's at his peak. He's 28, but he's still a young lad. And it's still a difficult situation. And you're going in there to an environment. Yes, you've got a manager that you've worked with before, and that will have been good for him. But going in there, you won't have avoided all of the headlines. You'll know that you're the afterthought of all afterthoughts. And then you're going in there and you're having to try and rebuild your career. And you come on in your debut in what's then become a very poignant and stressful and powder keg moment, because it's one kick to decide the outcome of this game, and you're the guy that the captain hands the ball to, and you've shown the balls. So you've been handed the ball and you've shown the balls. Great moment for him. Can you imagine if it went the other way and it didn't go in?
Well, I think Ida missed his first penalty, or Giamakis missed his first penalty.
Giamakis.
He worked
against Livy, and yeah, I was livid.
Yeah.
When that happened, and you just completely turned on the player, and it took me weeks and months to forgive him that. But it's key moments. It's like you say, we come on the pod and we're buzzing. That keeper just stands there and tips that over the bar. This guy's Celtic career is probably over before it even starts. But because he scores it, and then you've got that celebration, which you touched on. And can you try to put that into how that feels for him, for you, for those supporters in that end, again, after the stuff that's gone on in the background, and you've got that it wasn't even last minute, it was last second. There was no seconds, there was 1 second left. As soon as the centre was took, it was gone. And this laddie has been through all the career turmoil, and he's the one, and CARRMAGEDDON hands him the ball. What a moment. What a moment.
He's also shooting into the Celtic end as well. So he's seeing all our support and behind him. He's seeing that whole, he's got the rosary beads out and, just getting ready for this penalty. So, yeah, the pressure on him. But that's what you want. If you're a striker and you're going to play for Celtic, you're going to have to understand it. You're going to be under pressure all the time. That's part of the job. The pressure's on you. We're expecting you to score. We're expecting you to play well. And coming into this league with your sort of pedigree, we're expecting you to boss it a bit as well. So, yeah, taking that penalty, doing it. But, yeah, I loved it. He ran right into the crowd, got his yellow card, whatever. I don't know if he did or no, but he was right in there, and I thought that was brilliant, right into the boys section. I think he ran right where Mick was, going by his pictures on the WhatsApp. Mick must have been right down there. So, yeah.
Mick's one of the luckiest guys I've ever seen. Like, without giving away his address and stuff, he can see Celtic Park from his bedroom, and he gets to go to away games where you've got fucking brilliant moments like that. Very, very lucky. I'm envious of him, and fair play to Mick. But could you imagine? That just felt that sent a shiver through me. That reaction from the crowd, and again, Kells, and the way it's all happened, and the way he's been brought in, and that whole thing, the unfiltered training ground thing, and so many people. Here's what made me chuckle. So many people are going, "Oh, that was amazing! I love seeing that," and that was completely staged. That's totally staged. That's the same as the Ange with the voiceover and telling the players, "Oh, we don't stop," and all unfiltered. It's staged. Brendan Rodgers has been told, right, this window's been a fucking disaster. We've got this guy in. We're going to do a bit of a video here. We want to make it look as if you're so pleased to see him, and try to dupe these fans into thinking he was someone that was in our thoughts and he's the saviour, and you're so happy that he's been brought in. Brendan Rodgers is absolutely seething that he's had to get Kells in. He's seething about that. And that wee video, so many people have fallen for it, and they've gone, "Oh, that was brilliant. That was really, I was so pleased." That was completely staged. Surely, do you agree with me on we're talking shit?
Well, what's the video you're talking about? I never seen that.
Well, have you not seen it? Where the training ground, it's like a fly on the wall on the training ground for a few minutes. Brendan's there, and you can see Ian Nacho. He's walking on, and he's having a chat with one of the new signings. And the next thing you've got Brendan. No, Brendan just happens to look up. Oh, Kells, and then they come over, and it's big cheesy grin, and Brendan's teeth are out, and there's big hugs and all. Check it out. Have a wee look at it.
But Terry, that's why I don't want it, because they do look staged to me. I mean,
of course they are.
I mean, they're okay, but it's the same. I feel like I'm watching the same one every time. They start off with the corner flag or some sort of detail, and then they pan out. You want to see players walking. You get a wee bit of audio over top that everybody's happy and chirpy. Look how well the players are going on, and you want to see Rodgers looking, having a sincere conversation with somebody, and then it's just fucking running cones and all that sort of shit. And it's like, unfiltered my arse. I want to see the bus stops and the arguments and some of the bad tackles in the pitch and all that, and a bit more unfiltered rather than the filtered stuff that we do get. I mean, everything about this club is filtered.
420, thank you so much. And I'm buzzing. 420, I'm buzzing. I'm not negative. I'm just saying that kind of video is just completely staged, and I'm buzzing. I'm not being negative. I'm just saying it was a staged video. And do you think somebody's going to rock up with a camera at Lennox Town and start doing a video, and the manager's not going to be prepped about it? I'm just having a bit of fun with it. totally get your point, but
He did it.
Fun with it.
He did it again at the end, though. Like, so as soon as the game finished as well, you saw Rodgers went over and had that wee moment with him as well too. You know, it's always good man management. They were having a wee laugh and a cuddle and all that. And it's like, all right, now you know what the feeling's like. Let's, keep it going. Or it's always what you're wait till you get to Celtic Park and do that, then you'll really hear it. I don't know what he was saying, but honestly, just for the game to end that way, for him to get that goal, going into the crowd, feeling the love of the support. Okay, maybe that's what this boy needs. When's the last time he's had a big moment like that? As you said, 2 years ago, maybe. So, yeah, I think if you're looking for positives to this game, there's a positive. We've got a guy now that feels the love. He knows the pressure that's involved in playing for Celtic, and he came through that with flying colours. Did he play great when he came on? I thought he was okay. He was lively. I thought some of his runs was good. He didn't look out of shape to me, but then again, he was only on for a couple of minutes, and that's Kilmarnock. But yeah, I thought he played really well. I mean, there was a few really good positives came out today. If we are looking for them, So Taneke, and then I think just a big natural man getting the goal. That was, and I thought Donovan was good as well today. So I'll pass there. Maeda getting a goal, showing that he's still interested, he's still love for the clubs, grabbing the badge and all that. And also that was a world-class finish. Haven't you seen a header like that since the King of Kings was playing? Absolute cracker of a diving header right into the corner. Yeah, I jumped off my seat. Love to see Maeda score. And that's the goals I like to see him scoring.
Just to close the circle then on Kells. He's a down on his luck striker who's been going about different teams trying to get that spark. We're a club who are, despite all the titles and all the success, we're in a bit of turmoil. We need a hero. He might go on to do nothing in his Celtic career, but that moment today was very, very special between him and the supporters and the manager that he's worked for before. In that moment, there's three key elements that are all together and buzzing: the manager, the player or players, and the supporters. And the one bit that is disconnected then is the hierarchy and structure around the club. We can't do anything in terms of players between now and January. My own opinion on it is, if we can get through to January and we can maintain our current league position, then you hope beyond hope. Depending whether the structure changes or whether it doesn't, you get through to January and you're in the ascendancy, and you've got an opportunity then to right the wrongs of this summer. At least you won't right the wrongs of the last 20 years, but you can do something in January to make sure that this season ends with at least the league title. Hopefully. That's my thoughts.
Well, I think you have to see, I think we need that from Rodgers now. We need an elite level coach manager to step up his game right now and start looking at how to get the best out of this team. Now, we had Bernardo and we had Ingles sitting on the bench. I still don't know what Bernardo's done wrong. Anytime I've seen it, I thought Bernardo would have been well suited for that game. Is he carrying a knock? I don't know, but he's just seemed to be, he's fallen off as well. And Ingles, he doesn't look like he's getting a game. I thought Negrin was poor. I mean, our midfield still has to be aggressed. I don't think he's getting the best out of McGregor, Hatate, and Negrin today. McCowan looked lively when he came on. But I think that needs addressing. I think we need to change the shape. I think he's got to go with a different formation right now, because it's just so predictable. Every team knows how to play us, and they play us, and we're finding it difficult to get ahead of teams and blow them away again, because again they're very compact and they know that if they just push us out, So going back to what you were saying about, would you call him Kells, Big Kells?
I think he called him Kelsey during the week, and then he called him Kells today. So we'll run with the current name of Kells.
I'd put him right next to CCV in the dressing room, Because there's a guy as well that came from a team that was bouncing around in mediocrity, not being able to be in loaned out and not being able to get a game and fit in anywhere. And then when he came up to Celtic, all of a sudden he's back playing with the USA again. He had a good run. It's not a great season so far this year, but there's a guy as well that was able to find a place for himself at Celtic, re-establish his identity, become a fan favourite, and a leader within the team as well. So I hope he picks up and he sees what CCV's achieved here. And, some of the senior players have a word with him. And, look at Joe Hart. This is a place where you can come and revive your career. I mean, Chris Sutton being an absolutely classic example. I'm hoping he mirrors Big Sutty and does what he's done. And again, taking advantage of the opportunities given. What have we got? We signed him for a year. It's a year. Is he a loan or is he a full signing?
No, he's
on a contract, right?
We got him on a free, and we've signed him for the rest of this season, and the club will have an option of another season.
Well, yeah, let's see his goal. So he's off to a good start. He's got his goal. That's always important. He's off and running, and let's see him when we start seeing some more minutes, and then obviously we want to see what he can produce in the box and score in open play and that.
Just sort of thought, Liam, can you imagine if Michael Nicholson was a referee and the VAR were trying to get him, and every time they tried to speak to him, they just got like a voicemail or something that said, I'm not available. The VAR's trying to get through to him, and he's, no, I'm not available. No, I'm not.
Just right. Go ahead, Eagles. They'll tell you what that's like.
Right. I've started a couple of comments here that I want to touch on. So Danny Boy, yes, totally get that. He didn't kiss the badge, but he did grab it. He grabbed the badge, and my only point around this is, Dyson wants to leave. That's fine. He's not from a Celtic background. He's not like you and me. We're Celtic fans. We look at players and we expect them to love the club the same way that we would. If you were playing, Danny, you'd never leave Celtic. If I was playing, I would never leave Celtic. And we struggle to understand why players would want to leave Celtic, but I don't think what anyone can ever question with Dyson is the commitment that he's given on the pitch. And I trust him over the next 3 months, 3.5 months, wherever it is. I trust him to give us all. I don't see any way that he doesn't. Even if he didn't, he's driven. He's a motivated player, and he's driven to be the best that he can be with what you could say are limited abilities. And we have questioned that at times. He gets the most out of his body and his skill set that he could possibly get. And I totally trust that wee lad to give us everything. He's got a World Cup place to play for. If he goes in January, fine. As long as Celtic do the right thing, it's not on him anymore. He's made his position clear, what he wants to do at this moment, right now. He's made his position clear. It's up to the club to then do what they need to do to enable all of that to happen in a way that benefits Celtic. Also, situations change, outlooks change, what people want change. And there is still an opportunity that Dyson might change his mind. He might feel the love. He might decide that, actually, do you know what? I do want to stay here. And that's fine as well. Whatever way this ends, to me, the outcome's fine, because he's a player who has given us all every single time he pulls on that jersey. And I trust him with the jersey for the next 3.5 months. Do you, Liam?
Oh, Dyson just looks like the ultimate professional. But yeah, so I just glanced at the comments there, and there's a lot of talk about Hatate, and totally agree with him as well. Hatate's just fallen off the map in that midfield as well. Do you think, Terry, that he wants away? There must be an exodus to all the Japanese players, the ones that have came at the same time, are all looking like, all right, they've done their 3 years here now. I think he's wanting away as well. He's not making an impact in that position in the games lately. And I think as a player as well, that's probably, I don't know if it's affecting him or not, because I've really been disappointed. I'm a big Hatate fan. But again, I don't know if we're playing him in the right position or no, or in that midfield with Callum or something. I always think Hatate should be a wee bit further up the pitch. If we changed the formation and played 4 in the middle, I think he would be better actually just moving up in behind the striker.
I'm a fan as well, Liam. And I think there's definitely been points in the last 18 months where he has wanted to go and there might have been opportunities to go. And similar to Maeda, they haven't got that opportunity. Is there any sort of coincidence that Kyogo's gone? Dyson told the club in February he wanted to go. Kyogo left in January. The manager, who is very, very clever at leaking out information to the supporters through his press conferences, he gives you stuff, and sometimes it doesn't materialize straight away, but you then look back weeks or months down the line and you go, actually, he told us about that. And see a lot of this stuff that's going on with it. I don't want to get into more of the fans and the board stuff. The managers orchestrated a lot of this with the stuff that he's fed. He's fed us information that has then caused the supporter base to get frustrated. He's given us little tidbits of information, and the supporters have jumped onto that. Brendan Rodgers, to me, he's orchestrating a scenario here where he comes out of this as the top boy, no matter what way this ends for him. And I'm going to bring up another point here from Big Dom. Rodgers wants to sign a contract but hasn't been offered anything. I'm not totally convinced that he does want to stay at Celtic. He's told us that he wants to stay. He's told us that he'll stay in the right circumstances. And I think he comes across as genuine and sincere. And if I had to come down on it and make a decision, I would say he is genuine. I think he genuinely is a Celtic fan and he loves the club. And I think when you match together his love of Celtic, his background, the stage he's at in his career, I would lean on the side of he does want to stay and build some kind of legacy and finish his career with Celtic and then go into a retirement in Spain and all of that kind of thing. If I had to come down on it, but I'm probably 60-40 on it. But the 40% bit, I think he's very, very clever that if he does leave at the end of this season, he will leave with the Celtic supporters being on his side and thinking, we could have kept him. He wanted to be here. He loves Celtic and he didn't stay because the hierarchy around him, the structure around him didn't want to go in the right direction, the direction the supporters now want to go in. I think he's just orchestrating this. I think he's key. He's key to the whole thing, the unrest between the fans and the board. It's always been there. But I think he's the guy he's putting all the pieces into the places that he wants to put them in. And no matter what way this scenario plays out, he walks away from this. He walks away from this in a good place.
I mean, he does, but it's not exactly on merit. It's basically he's in a much better place now just because we hate the board so much. Like the board have done such a great job of antagonising the fans that Rodgers does look like he's in fact the saviour that's helping the fans through this with the communication, and he's the conduit for the information and that. But I think Rodgers has been very poor this season. I thought, and last season as well, like since the Bayern game, we've not been able to win a must-have big game with him in charge, and that's really concerning. I mean, if he'd look at Rangers. I mean, they got absolutely horsed yesterday, and we should have been all over them like that as well too. Yes, Hearts went and scored 2 against them, and
we're the worst team they've played this season.
I think we're the only one that hasn't had a shot in their goal, or we're the only one that hasn't scored against them. But I don't think Rodgers has came across when there's been times for us to get the team up and motivated and all that. He's failed as well. He's failed against Almighty. He had everything he should have had to beat that team, and we had same with the players in the park. I didn't want, like at the beginning when we were talking at the beginning of the season, our expectations and that. One of the things I said was, I don't want Rodgers' contract thing to be a distraction. If this season is all about Rodgers, then it's going to be very negative for everybody involved. And a lot of this season has been about Rodgers. And the board has unfairly put that. But some of the stuff he comes out with as well, like before the window, he was very misleading. Like a lot of that window, he seemed very much on, supportive of Mike Nicholson, and he still very much is. That the board was doing a great job. Board was working 24/7, and now he's on our side when he's seen that it's shifted, and there's so much of the support is against this board and all that he's jumping on the side where he's not going to get any flack. But I still think he's very, very much a part of that board and part of the system that what we have. I think it's just I think the relationship between Rodgers and the board is toxic. And I think it's the two of them combined. For some reason, he brings out the worst in the board, and the board bring out the worst in him. And for an elite manager and getting paid what he's paying and stuff like that, I don't want him like shrugging his shoulders, like, oh, we're on this together, and like, they'll get through it and that. No, I wanted to see him exercising more of the control, because he did have a definite advantage in that window. He is there, and I don't want him feeling he's doing us a favour by staying this 3 years to see us through, and then delivering his football that's meaningless and slow, and the horseshoe of death appearing and all that again, and again squeaking a 2-1 win at Kilmarnock with a last-minute penalty, despite the amount of players that he's got. I want to see him getting more out of his players and get better out of it. I want to see us playing in a system that starts opening teams up and playing to our powerfulness, and not this just sort of like showing teams far too much respect. We need to be going at them hard, and we need the handball back. I miss that. I miss that like drive where you're just completely overwhelming the team. And I think we go out and try and control the game too much, and it still looks like that's part of it. And I don't think as a fan base as well, I want to see Celtic controlling games. I want to see them winning games. I want to see them playing football, and just still far too negative for me as football. And so I want to see him turn it up. This is a chance for him to, okay, you've heard the support, you know how we feel as well. Don't just tell us you're there just to sort of smooth things out, and then leave it and then end up probably with a seat in the board or something. Who knows? But
so just on that point then, Liam, I think the point that Big Dom makes there around Rodgers wanting to sign a new contract, and that's the sound bites that he's given out, and whether that's true or false. What seems to be clear is that he hasn't been offered anything yet. Now, no matter what happens with the board and any potential change in there, I think there still has to be a question asked. Is extending Brendan Rodgers' stay as Celtic, is that a given that that's the right thing for the club and that's what every supporter wants, based on what we've seen across season 3 from the first time and across what we've seen from he comes back? So again, let's just use today as an example. We're buzzing, and this is a positive podcast about a positive result, what I think is a poignant moment in this season at this very early stage. If we don't get that penalty, which goes to VAR, which the Rangers supporter John Beaton has to go over and make a life moral decision about, all of that stuff, if we don't get that, I'm on here talking about Terminado. Do you know what I mean? So is keeping Brendan Rodgers, to me, I'm thinking this board are going to balls us up. This board are going to piss Brendan off to the point where there's no chance he stays on. But there is also a question. Is Brendan Rodgers staying on the best thing for Celtic?
Well, that's it. I don't know if it's the best for our football. I don't know if he gets the best out of the players that we have. He's very, like, Scales. Scales looks like he's anchored into the team now, right? There's the boy we got from Manchester City.
Yeah, I'm glad you've touched on this.
Where's he? He's completely disappeared. I thought we were going to get a player there. You look at him, he's a big physical player. Obviously, he's with Man City, and it's not like the old Man City where they're just signing loads of players. Like, Man City's got an excellent recruitment strategy, so they know they've done their homework. And he was the player of the year in the B League or the B squad or whatever they call them down there. I'm really, really surprised at that. And these are the sort of things that just annoy me with Rodgers. Just like you get Mike Nicholson hiding, Rodgers hides players. You see them 1 minute and then they're gone, and you never hear them. They just don't seem to get a look at. You might see them on Celtic Unfiltered. Oh, they're still in the squad. But I don't know. I don't think he gets the best out of players. And I'd like to see when we do get somebody come in to get his replacement in, the one thing I really want him to be, I want him to have really heavy involvement in the recruitment. And I think that's what I liked about Ange. Everybody that was coming in Ange's first 2 seasons looked like Ange picks. You could tell. He knew a lot about them. He knew about the personality. He knew about what sort of player he was getting. And he knew what sort of role they were going to take when they came into the team. And you could see that with his teams, that players would drop in, and they were all playing the same style, the same way. It wasn't like we were changing tactics and all that. No, it was still the same. It was just more power coming in because he had fresher legs and stuff. Rodgers, to me, I think he has to show up and start being an elite coach. I told you before, I'm not sold on his bullshit. He's still, I still think he's very lucky that the board have imploded. Otherwise, some of the focus would be on him, especially after that Rangers game. He got off very, very lucky there. Come on, he should be absolutely horsing them. How can he not got the team up for that game? I mean, like, when's the last time we played Rangers didn't get a shot and goal? You know? So that part, to me, I think he's got to pick up his game. And I don't think he's here just because he's got to earn his keep to stay here. I don't like it being his choice all the time. I want it to be our choice that, yeah, you still have to perform, just like the players do, and, you know, do it today. And I know we're unbeaten in the league. We just lost our first goal. It sounds crazy here, but, yeah, I don't know. It's just something's off with him right now. And once the team starts firing, then, you know, he can talk all the shit he wants. But when we're losing games and all that, I'm way more susceptible to his bullshit, and I tolerate less, you know.
Okay, Liam, I'm going to bring it to a close because we can't afford to pay you any more overtime. I was on Steve-O's podcast, The Celtic World Order, about 10 days ago, and I talked about how I seen the Brendan Rodgers and the Celtic board as a marriage of either convenience or inconvenience, depending on what way you looked at it. It's a family that's broken. It's two sides staying together because they feel as if they have to, but the people that are suffering are all the people that have to live around those people, which are the players and the supporters. And that's how I see things at Celtic at the moment. The players are suffering, the supporters are suffering, and there's like a bitching match between the two scorned parties trying to point score. And I feel that this young lad, Simpson Pusey, has found himself in the middle of this separation and divorce. He's become a pawn in that. I expected this lad to go straight into Celtic's starting 11. I believe he's got the pedigree and ability based on the fact if he's played for Man City's first team. That on its own is enough to suggest that he should be going straight into our first team. He's highly regarded. He's been in the international scene at underage. I don't think there is any issue with his ability. There's been a question mark around his attitude, and I probably didn't feel that would be the answer to this conundrum, although it might be. The longer it goes on, it might be. But I can't see somebody who's been under Pep for the last 2-3 years having a really bad attitude. It may be the case. There's something playing out there. He's good enough to be in our first team. He's not there. I think he was not a Brendan Rodgers sign-in. I think that's why we're constantly getting references to Dane Murray being Brendan's man as a first-team squad player. I think that's why we haven't seen Simpson Pusey. I think that's why he's not been put in the Europa squad the same as Inamura, the young lad from Fulham, and Shin Yamada. I think there's politics playing out there around all of that, and these guys are being exposed to that. They're just pawns in that game. However, let's move on. We've got 3 matches in the next couple of weeks. We've got Thistle away in the Cup next week. We break from the league. Refreshing. Let's get that done. I'm going to have another attempt at a name. Cervena Svedza. I've probably messed that up. Better known to me as Red Star in Europe. Like it or lump it, we're in the Europa League. We're going to have to embrace it. We're going to have to get that done. We're going to have to get on with it. The Champions League's gone. Suck it up. Let's get it done. And then we're Hibs at home the next league game. Let's see what the fan movement have got planned for that one. I'm really looking forward to it because I'm going over. So happy days. I'm happy today. Yes, I totally get that it all hinged on one VAR decision into John Beaton's ear, and the player that we didn't want to sign, who's become the hero for today. Lap it up. I'm absolutely buzzing, and if I've come across as negative in any way, I'm not. I'm just trying to. We're just trying to hammer home. If that one decision didn't happen, this podcast would have been totally different. But do you know what? It did happen. We're top of the league. It's a long way down below to some of the teams that are below us. Hail, Liam.
Top of the table.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.